Jaryd, I know you do a lot of deals. You help people close deals. You got a nice community. I thought we'd do something a little different today. Let's dive into one of the latest deals you've done. Let's just tell us about it. Tell us the general size, structure, why you liked it, why you didn't, how you help that client. Really what I want to get out of this is when someone sees an example business, similar size or similar setup, they can say, oh, this is how Jaryd structured the business and get a takeaway. So maybe tell us about one of your latest deals. Before we dive into structure, you mentioned something that the relationship between the buyer and seller was pretty awesome. What was a factor in there? Was it just good people all around? Did they just hit it off because same age? Like, why was that relationship so good? Because we don't always see buyers and sellers get along as well. What did the buyers like about this deal? Did they have skill sets they thought they could do better than the sellers? Or why did they like this deal over something else? All right, welcome to another round. Let's Buy Business. I'm your host, Ryan Condi. We're going to dive in here with Jaryd Krause, all the way from Australia. He goes and shares how he went from being a plumber in Australia to buying online businesses, and even started on buying his first business on Flippa over 12 years ago because he wanted a travel-friendly lifestyle. He's an incredible traveler, person, human, surfer. He's just awesome all the way. He actually breaks down a recent deal where one of his clients bought a US-based business that helps Amazon sellers get product feedback using an SBA loan. So we're going to dive into a few things within this. We're going to dive into how to buy winners and build versus building risky startups. We're going to dive into the deal structure, 15% down, 15% seller note, and the rest was through an SBA. And then of course, we dive into why this business stuck out to someone else, such as the buyer. They hadn't owned it for more than 18 months, which is a very short amount of time in the business world, but they also had tripled this business and how they did that. So we're going to jump in here with Jaryd. You can learn more about Jaryd at buyingonlinebusinesses.com. He's got a phenomenal YouTube channel, a phenomenal podcast, all named Buying Online Businesses. So let's dive in here with Jaryd. Jaryd, I think this is your third time on the show. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Great to be back.
Yeah.
It's always fun just having a chat, even if we're not recording it, Ryan.
I know. The good stuff is actually when we're not recording, and that's the secret out there, right? So, right. Jaryd, for those who don't know, we'll obviously reference your prior episodes. You're quite active in the space for online acquisitions. Give us a rundown of your background and how you got here.
Yeah, I'll give you a quick one. I was a plumber from Australia, didn't like plumbing, and I was traveling a lot. Yeah, it was just a nightmare. It was big hours, lots of commuting, and yeah, I would always quit work and go travel. And on my travels, I was like, how do I keep traveling? I need to work out how I can make money online. So I started a few small businesses. I sucked at the startup thing. And so then I think about 2 years after doing that, I was like, hang on, 90% of startups fail. Why don't I go buy one that's past that 90% failure rate? So I just jumped onto the internet and see if I could go find them. And I found Flippa back in 2014. So, and I bought my first business in 2014, and I bought one a year for 3 years until I was able to replace my income. And then I went to a couple of business events, and people were like, dude, I don't want to deal with this startup thing. Can you just teach me how to buy these? So then I started teaching people with the courses of the content, and then worked into just M&A advisory.
It's awesome. And thanks for that background. I think everybody's got a story where, they're hating what they're doing and got to switch it over, right? When you got your back against the wall and you're like, I got to do something different. I know you're a big traveler, and this has allowed you to travel the world all the time, nonstop, which is fantastic. We're all about desired lifestyle and structuring that in a way around your businesses are around your desired lifestyle. Jaryd, I know you do a lot of deals. You help people close deals. You got a nice community. I thought we'd do something a little different today. Let's dive into one of the latest deals you've done. Let's just tell us about it. Tell us the general size, structure, why you liked it, why you didn't, how you help that client. Really what I want to get out of this is when someone sees an example business, similar size or similar setup, they can say, oh, this is how Jaryd structured the business and get a takeaway. So maybe tell us about one of your latest deals.
Absolutely. So I won't be able to get like super granular and specific on the business model just for
privacy reasons.
Reasons. Yeah. But a couple of years ago now, we had somebody come through my program who bought a business, and they used SBA to buy it. And I think they might have bought it for like 800 or something K. They grew it for over a year and a half and did really, really well. And I was about a year ago looking for a business for two clients of mine, something between like the $2 to $3 million range. They're looking at acquiring with SBA. And I put it out to my email list, who's got, a US based business, who's interested in selling in this price range. And these previous clients popped up and said, hey, like we built this thing and it's making, I think it was making 820, it fluctuated throughout the deal because the deal took a bit of time, 820 to 850K net a year. And
Which was
so,
purchased prior for 800,000 total, right?
right.
So
Yeah.
that's almost like a 3x growth, right? That's pretty
They've
awesome.
done so, yeah, and I think it might have been 18 months or a little bit longer that they had the
Wow.
business, and they crushed it. They did so well, and this is a husband and wife team, beautiful people, beautiful family, and they did the same thing so they could travel around, and that's what most of my clients do is so they can get this lifestyle income online, travel around, and my clients were also traveling so much. Like one of the guys, they're a partner and they have a FBA brand, quite a significant FBA brand. They do close to 8 figures in selling their product on Amazon. And one of the guys, every time I got on the call, he was in a new country, and it was just like he's a prolific traveler. So getting like 4 time zones together sometimes for a call was definitely a lot of fun. Myself being in a different time zone to the States. And so with this deal, it was a business where it wasn't a marketing agency as such, but it helped people or Amazon owners get feedback for their products. So it matched up people that would want to test a product on an Amazon product and then give feedback. And it could be feedback on the platform, or it could be feedback off the Amazon platform or off the Amazon platform. And it would help Amazon businesses scale their business. Yeah, my 2 clients loved the business, built a great relationship. The buyers and sellers built a great relationship, and we put an offer in, went to LOI, and then started due diligence. And just the more we looked at the business, the more we're like, wow, okay, they've done exceptionally well with this business. Yeah, I don't know where else you would like to get into the weeds with it. Do you want to talk about structure? Do you want to talk about?
Before we dive into structure, you mentioned something that the relationship between the buyer and seller was pretty awesome. What was a factor in there? Was it just good people all around? Did they just hit it off because same age? Like, why was that relationship so good? Because we don't always see buyers and sellers get along as well.
Yeah. And I think it's the most important thing is the relationship can be more valuable than the acquisition and the deal itself, right? Because you can lean on that post exit or post sale purchase, whatever you want to call it. I would say they are just good. They're both just good round people. Like I'd say both of them being quite successful in their own rights in business. They were just very respectful towards one another and what they had each achieved. And my buyers having achieved quite a very good result on Amazon, buying a business that helped people acquire Amazon, scale their Amazon businesses. There was a lot of respect between both parties. And my clients were very grateful for like what they had done to the business, the team they had built for the business that they were purchasing. The deal helped as well because it was a great deal, it was a great business, but the people behind it, that's just a reflection. A great business is just a reflection of the people behind it, I would say.
Many times the business takes on the persona, the personality of the operator, right? And so a lot of times you've got a great business, you're gonna have a great operator or just someone who's really good to work with. Generally that's the case, but what I think is the resonating factor here, Jaryd, is everybody was quite successful and respectful at that point. And sometimes you don't always get that respect going both ways. What did the buyers like about this deal? Did they have skill sets they thought they could do better than the sellers, or why did they like this deal over something else?
When they first came to me, they said they want nothing to do with Amazon. And then they ended up buying this business, and they joke about it a lot. They're a funny bunch of guys. And I think what they really liked about it is that it was just a good cash flowing business, and it didn't have too much of their time needed to be put into it because they built a very, very good team. They love how systemized and optimized the business was. Mel, the wife of the partnership of the couple that sold the business, she did exceptionally well at building out systems and team. And the husband, Alan, he had been really good with the numbers and the financials. And so they were just such a great team, and they just built this business. So it was pretty hands off. You could grow without them so they could continue traveling. Also, what my clients loved about the business is they could see so much potential to scale it outside of just helping Amazon businesses get more feedback for their listings and their products on Amazon, replicating that with Walmart, offering Amazon PPC marketing agency services. There was already a marketing he wasn't really a CMO in the business when they sold it, but the marketing guy had a very good background. And in fact, the buyers had found another marketing person to plug into the business after they purchased it. They did that for about a month or two, and they just didn't work out at all, and they just disrupted the business a little bit. And then they brought in the person that was already doing the marketing, or previously was doing the marketing for the business, and then just incentivized him very well, and then helped the business do really, really well from there. And then lent into more, like, if we give you more work, what would that look like, and how could we serve our clients better? So there was just so much room for growth in that business that was very attractive.
That's cool. What a couple of things I notice a lot in those ranges too, as you're talking about, is sometimes those businesses that are, making 500,000 and $1 million a year, they get to a certain point where you need to hire out a big team, you need to manage that team, you need to put more work in, and those businesses can outgrow the desired lifestyle of the current owners. Because you think, hey, why would you sell a perfectly good business? And it's like, well, they want to keep traveling, right? They're the bottleneck within the business. And then you got two pretty motivated, two successful partners. They want to blow this up. And it's really common to see that. Tell us a little bit about the structure.
Yeah, I'll tell you about the structure. I just want to touch on what you also said as well, is like, sometimes people ask, like, why would you sell a perfectly good business that's like making all this money? And it's such a good question, because people have fears of like, there must be something wrong with it. But when you get to a size business that's like 7 figures, somebody that can exit that, and I don't care what age you are, whether you're in your 30s or you're in your 60s or 70s, it's pretty attractive to know, I could take maybe 2 to 5 million or more in cash, and then park that in an asset like real estate that pays me enough to live and never have to work again, or put some of it in some ETFs or another investment class where it's far more passive, a little bit less return. But like, why not? Like, you can do that, and you can have a break for a couple of years, and then if you want to decide to do something after that, you've got a bit of a payload there that you can invest into another business or whatever it is. So yeah, those skepticisms, like, why would somebody sell a perfectly good cash flowing business? And the reason is like personal,
Life-changing money.
Typically. Yeah.
So, and I love that you highlighted that, because it is the most common question we get. Well, what's wrong with it? What's wrong with it? Sometimes nothing's wrong with it, but when you offer someone millions of dollars, it's life-changing money. They can continue to travel. They might not actually have that high of a lifestyle compared to you, or vice versa. Or like in your case, you have the ability to travel and surf, and you're like, I don't need a massive mansion or anything like that. But you give them the ability to never work again. They're not going to work for 6 or 12 months, and then they're going to get bored and start the next business. But that lump sum allows them immense flexibility to say yes, to say no, and do a lot of really cool things. So that's why you sell a perfectly good business.
Oh, absolutely. And one business that, like, somebody's like, what's wrong with it? What's wrong with it might be awesome and an advantage to a buyer as well.
I've seen that too. Where what's wrong with it is what they're good at.
Well, that's right. Exactly. Yeah. We could have a whole podcast on why somebody would sell a business. But to the structure, it was either 10 or 15% down, and we had 15% seller finance, and the rest was SBA. And I'm pretty sure it was actually at 15% down and 15% seller finance. The rest was SBA. The seller it was a seller note, performance-based note over 2 years within a margin of revenue. The tricky thing was, in the deal, we had a lawyer, an M&A lawyer on our side that was just not really doing the work and slow, asking me where we were at in terms of updates on LOI and APA. We had to remove them and get another M&A lawyer that helped move the deal along a lot faster. And even though that the buyer and the seller had a lot of respect for each other, there were points where it was like points of frustration, deal fatigue set in at certain points. And it was a challenge. It was a challenge because we had got to a certain point in what we needed, and then we needed to wait for them to get tax returns done. There was this whole changing of regulations with SBA through this period, which caused some frustration with electronic IRS statements not coming through, and the seller had to change an accountant just to get like the taxes done. So deals are messy, and we can talk about how easy and polished they are, where you just go out and buy a business and you make this money, or this person makes a great exit. But it's just like there's a lot of hair on them sometimes. Every
deal is a miracle in its own sense, right?
Isn't it? That's a good way to put it. I like that.
every single deal I've ever seen, which is now probably 100 plus. I'm like, well, that was a miracle there. I can't believe they accepted this. And for those not familiar with the SBA, it's a wonderful program, but you are putting the hands of the deal, or you're putting the deal in the hands of a government entity and a bank. And so you sort of lose insight into what's happening, and they have a lot of control over that process. It's an incredible process where you can then get 70% of the business on a loan. That's the cheapest debt you can get, but there's some personal guarantees. There's definitely some pros and there's some cons with it that you see over and over again. What's interesting is you had issues on your own end with the attorney. Did you go find a new attorney, or how did you approach that?
Yeah, I've got a bunch of attorneys and they interviewed a couple. And normally when I bring somebody on, it's like, who do you want to choose from? Like, speak to all of them, work out a price. Who do you want to choose from? This attorney I hadn't worked with, and they chose her. And I was like, okay, that's cool. Then from there, the buyers had their own lawyer, and he started stepping in on the deal. And I'm like, look, he's a very good lawyer, but I think he was like a patent. I think he's patent lawyer or something like that. I'm like, we need to get somebody else in M&A that understands this. So we're not trying to pick up the slack ourselves, and it slows the whole thing down. And he's learning on the fly how to do M&A. We need to get an M&A person in to sit in with him. They really want, because this is their first acquisition, they really wanted their lawyer who they love and trust, who's done really well for them, to be able to protect them. So they wanted him a part of it. But what we did is we got that lawyer there. I would just say for now, and this might not be accurate, but like, I think it was like a patent lawyer. James is a really nice guy. He went to his network and found somebody who's specific in M&A and had brought him in as well, and they worked together on it, which was quite cool.
Yeah, that brings up a good point. Is sometimes there's people within the process that just don't have the quite right experience. You might think, hey, all attorneys are the same. It's incredibly different of the talent skill sets you're getting in M&A versus a different genre, or not genre, but just like industry that you're in. So you have to be very careful. The worst experience I ever had was someone hired a divorce attorney. Well, divorce attorneys are designed to create hate and bill everybody a ton and not get the deal done. Like, that's literally their incentive, right? And so you want to make sure you've got someone there on your time. Jaryd, well, this has been super solid. I know you see a lot of deals. Before we can find out where people can find you and follow you, what's one of the most creative ways you've seen someone make money?
Very interesting. Do you know concrete tilt panels? Do you know those panels that people use for building like offices and sometimes large structures? Just pouring concrete into a prefabricated box, like a
mold or something.
Yeah, a mold with steel in it, and then selling those. I'm like, it's so basic and so simple, and they sell for so much. Like, my brother-in-law, his brother has a steel manufacturing company, and then started getting asked to produce, or where he could buy these, and started seeing a hole in the market in his area, and just started doing them. And then he brought my brother-in-law to be the project manager of it, and it's turning into this massive operation now where they're making, I know his brother makes millions of dollars already as a steel fabricator, and I think this is just going to be even bigger. So I'm like, it's just so basic, like pouring concrete into a mold and selling it. Like, I'm sure there's obviously engineering things that need to go into it, but like, it's pretty basic. How cool for like how much money is into it. And I've also thought about myself, like, would I get out of online businesses in the future? Like, I love this, but would I buy a company or start a company that just sells like a raw material, like tar for roads, or copper, or just selling raw materials? There's so much money in these, billions of dollars. But then become a billionaire and work a lot, and maybe it's not that attractive.
then you can surf and have the lifestyle you have now when you're 65. And you're like, wait, I do that now.
What have I done? I've just wrecked it. Yeah.
Jaryd, where can people find you and follow you?
Thank you for having me on, Ryan. Really appreciate it. Jaryd Krause is my name, and you can find me at buyingonlinebusinesses.com or on LinkedIn.
We're going to link to that all in the show notes. Jaryd, thanks so much for your time. I know this is really early in Bali for you, so appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you. And before we go, I just want to share that, guys, you might not hear Ryan get interviewed much. He's always the interviewer, and he's coming on my podcast soon as well. So if you want to check that out, that'd probably be pretty cool too.
We'll link back and forth to the show notes, but Jaryd's got a great podcast, so have to check it out. We'll link to it in the show notes.
Thank you. Looking forward to having you on.
All right. Thanks for checking out the Let's Buy a Business channel. If you want to learn more, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel for the latest tips on acquiring businesses. We've also got our newsletter, which you can also subscribe to here, where you want to get the latest tips and deals that are happening right now. These